It's a quick video just on how to do some basic UV unwrapping and mapping. I know there's a lot of videos out there, but some of them are a little long. I'm going to make this one a little shorter. So here's just a project that I'm working on. It's just a lantern for a scene. It's real simple. I know people make it out to be like it's this real hard, complex thing to do. But if you add a shape, say like you're adding something like this lantern here. We're just going to do this real quick. I'll show you. So I'm just going to extrude this a little bit and then extrude it again on Z and then bring it tighter just to make that, whoops, not that small. Kind of like that. Bring it down a little bit more there to kind of get that look the same, basically the same shape that I have over here on this lantern here. When you need to unwrap it, you need to draw the lines on the mesh that you want. So you want to go into your edge select mode up here, and you know that this top square here is going to be up, like you want to texture that, and you want to texture these sides, and then of course this the like where the glass is or the light. So what you need to do is you need to select those edges and tell Blender that that's where you want it to unwrap it. Like people always say it's like peeling an orange. If you take a knife and you cut slices like on a globe, basically. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. Or actually, the best way to look is actually, let me do this. Let me just add a UV sphere here real quick, and we'll bring down this to like 5 or 6. Okay, maybe 8. Okay, there we go. So like, picture this. Imagine this as like an orange. And you wanted to slice this ahead of time. What you would do is you would take this line here, like with a knife, and you would score the outside of that orange like that. But in Blender, what you're going to do is you're going to mark that as a seam. So when you hit the right mouse button, you'll bring up the menu, just hit mark seam, and what it does is it gives it it'll mark that line for you there. So when it goes to unwrap it, that's basically where it's going to peel it back. And if I unwrap it now, what you'll see what it does. So I'm going to select all, I'm going to hit unwrap. So what it does is it's peeling it on that line. So if you select these two here, if you select those faces, you'll see that they're on the edge of the unwrap part. Now if I come to the other side of the orange and I do the same thing, if you hold Alt and then left click, you can select the entire line just like that. Watch. So if you hold down Alt and select, it selects the whole ring. So Alt click and you can select, as long as you're holding down Alt. And if you want to select more than one, you hold Shift down and you can select more than one ring. So Alt lets you select the ring, holding Alt Shift lets you select multiple after you've selected the first. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select Alt and select that ring there and mark seam again. So then now I'm going to go back and I'll unwrap it again. Oops. I'm going to unwrap it again and watch what happens. Now it's unwrapped on the two circles. See that? So now I'm getting this half and this half unwrapped. So when you go to export this, when you want to go do your texture painting, you're going to have it exactly the way that it's shown there. But this isn't an exact representation, because look at this orange slice here and this one don't match that. Because it's just the way that it's going to unwrap. Now you can Smart UV project, that doesn't work either. But the more seams that you make, so I'm gonna do it again, and I'll select that. I'm gonna mark that seam there, and then it's here again. I'm gonna mark this seam. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Shoot, sorry, G-force. Mark that seam, and then do it for all the rest of the orange slices that are on there. So let's mark all these. Let's just select them, and then mark seam on all of them. There. So now we have miss one. There. So now we have all the orange slices, like on an orange, a piece of orange, marked. So now if I go and we go and unwrap that, hit press U and unwrap. There. Now we're getting. I think I'm selected on the bottom. No wonder. Did I join those on accident? I did. Let me undo that. No. Separates P to there. Let me separate that back there. Okay. So now that we've got now that I fixed my mess up. So now that I go and I unwrap this now, you can see now it looks like the correct orange slices. Like if you actually took like if you actually took that orange and you started peeling back all those slices, this is what you would end up with. This is more realistic for those orange slices, right? It's like when they show you a realistic map of the world. It looks kind of like this, like it looks like that, not like square. Because you know when you unwrap this, it's gonna be smaller, just like it is here. It's these top smaller than the middle part. So that's basically how you mark the seam and unwrap it in a way that Blender and that the program can interpret what you're trying to do. Okay? So let's go back to the other object that we're working on, which is just trying to recreate like this effect that I did on this lantern here. So what I did was you can see where I put all the seams at on this. Everything that's red is a seam. So like this face is going to unwrap on its own. Then this ring underneath it unwraps on its own. Same with the bottom. You can see it as I select down there. If I select everything, that's what it looks like. Not counting this because I did that separately, that I joined it. But so if I unselect these, because I was texturing this ring on its own. There, see that removes all that. But see there's everything unwrapped, and I can go in and I just threw a texture on here. It's called here's the one I made. So what you do is once you unwrap it and it sends it in here to your UV layout, which is under UV editor. I'll make this a little bigger. So once you do that, you can take this UV layout and go to UV, and you can go to export UV layout. And then what that's going to do is going to tell you where you want to save that picture. And I'm going to call this lantern 2, or you can even just call it lantern UV layout, and then export it. And it'll save it as a PNG here, or you can do a SVG or an EPS depending on what program you're working in. So like if you're using like Illustrator and you need a SVG, you can do it as SVG if you want. But for this purposes, and you can change the size. So for this purposes, we're going to just go PNG. We're going to export it into my main wagon path, which is my game program that I'm working on right now, or the game project. So once I go, you can use Gimp or Photoshop. I mean, Gimp works just as good. I've done it in both. Though you can go and you can open that file, which is lantern UV layout here, and so what it gives you when it opens is the layout that you just exported. So you can either start painting, you can create a new layer in Photoshop or Illustrator, and then you can start painting your texture there. So it's giving you the overlay of where those faces are as it exports. It seems like these are my lantern faces here, and this is the side. There's the ring underneath. There's the base, the top, and then so on and so forth. Like there's the top. So what I did was I went and I took my my textures and I started copy and pasting in there. This is just a test models that I'm doing. But let me go. I think it's in textures. And it should be lantern. Here it is. So there's the lantern. there's the final product here that I did. But if I can take this back to my main project, my actual one that I'm working on now. And this is assumed that I just went and painted all this and copied and pasted and all that stuff. So I can see, you can see as I hide the layer, there's all the UV layout that's from Blender. That sometimes I'll go in and I'll just kind of make that a little bit less viewable, you know, just where I can barely see it when I'm painting. Then I'm working on this layer here. So if I wanted to make like a change on here, I could go in and, you know, like let's just say I wanted to change, put something stupid in there, like maybe I just wanted to like paint like a yellow, or let's pick another color. Let's take blue, right? Say I just wanted to like squiggly line something in there on that layer. So then I'll hide it, and then I'll export this photo, save this as a JPEG, and I'll probably go down to 512 by 512. So, and I'm gonna save it, and then this is just just messing around, but I'm gonna save it in here anyway. I'm gonna call it AV layout test and hit save. So now that I have the actual texture file, I can come into Blender and I can tell it use that new one that I just made. Which is, where did I save it? Oh, it's in the wrong. I'm in the test textures. You can go to main text. Here it is. So there's the one I put the blue squiggly lines on, right there. So now I need to tell the system, my nodes here, to use that new one, which is here. So now that should reflect my changes on my picture here. Let me see. I need to go to material here. Almost was in the wrong one, and it's here. There. So now it's going to show the little blue squiggly lines that I drew, which is the update to the texture painting. It's just assuming that like I started from scratch. So as you change it, and if you need to make any edits, now that it's in here with the blue squiggly lines, if you need to make any edits, you can go back to your program. So I'm just going to go back and undo what I did. Remove those blue squiggly lines. Maybe I meant to make the whole thing, the whole color blue. So like maybe I meant to like make it actually blue for some reason. So I can make changes to this now. Put it back to 512. And I'm going to save it same name, which is the Lantern UV layout test. So I'm going to replace the file, go back to Blender, and then in here all I got to do is go to image and then reload. Watch, and then it changes it. So you don't got to go back and reopen it and reattach or anything. Just hit, as long as you go to image and then reload, it'll reload that image. So just remember the two main things you want to take away from this are see, I messed up because I accidentally reassigned that. So this was not supposed to do that. This was supposed to be lantern hook. There we go. Put it back. Is putting your seams in. So go to edge select, and then you can start drawing those seams. Like here, mark seam, and then you got to do the bottom one because it won't let you mark it if it's select the whole face. So mark seam, then just keep going around. Mark seam, and then get the last two here. Mark seam. So now if I unwrap this, it'll unwrap these perfectly, but the rest of it's gonna look like garbage because it's not. We haven't marked a seam on anything else. So let me erase this picture here, and then I'm gonna select all and then unwrap. So I'm gonna unwrap. There. So the ones that came out great are these ones that I actually marked the seam on, these squares, but it doesn't know what to do with the rest because I didn't mark it. I didn't mark the seam to unwrap those. It doesn't know how to peel it. So you can go back through. So let's say I want to texture just that flat part there on its own. Since this is already marked on the middle, I just got to remark the outside. So I'll mark seam there again, and then now if I go and unwrap it again, oops. And if I unwrap it, watch, I'll get now I'm getting the squares, and I'm getting this square. I'm getting this face. I'm getting these now. Look, I'm getting these. These are unwrapped perfectly now, and so are these four. And then the bottom, of course. There's the bottom. So it's unwrapping it. It's peeling it, knowing that I make those seams. And the only one that I would do next was this top part. So you can come in and you could select these and mark seam on those. And if you wanted to, do these individually as well. Because if you unwrap it like that, it's gonna stretch your picture. So I would go ahead and I would just mark the whole thing, and then unwrap it all. And now you got all the pieces separately, and it's all pretty. So there, you can come in, and if you need, you can select it to see which ones like these are. And it didn't really put them like in the order that I wanted them, like right next to each other, but that's all right. It's just trying to make it fit. And this is where you can come in and can kind of like go to face select mode here. So you're just selecting each by the face, you don't have to select the little vertices there. So like you can actually come in and grab this and move it over here. Or what you can even do is if you don't care about if you really don't care about it having a lot of variation, or maybe it's just the same color or it's the same texture, you can just stack them like this to save space and time. So you can stack all those knowing that it's going to be the same texture on each of those sides. So you can just stack them to save space, and when you put the texture underneath it, it'll use the same picture. So like it's the same with these. I want to make sure that I have the right one. So that's the top. So I'm going to bring that up there, and then we'll find out what the bottom is, and I'm going to bring that over there too, to the top corner. So then all these guys, I want to stack these. So now I've selected them. So I'll take them and we'll just bring them to this corner up here, and we'll stack them on top of each other. There. So now our UV map looks like this. So there's the ring, which is this bottom ring down here, and then we have the sides for the angled sides, and those are on their own too here. So we'll bring that, we'll kind of get everything a little bit tighter in here. So we'll bring this in. These will have the same texture on them too, as well, and then this one, which is the top. I'm sorry, this is actually the where the actual light will be. So we'll take this guy, and because I probably want to do a little bit more detail on those, I'm gonna make this a little bigger, like that, and then I'm gonna take the whole thing and just kind of resize them a little bit so they fit in there a little bit. That way we're utilizing all the space that we have. There we go. So there's basically your texture map, and we can export this. We'll export this as small lantern. So small lantern test, and then we'll export that UV layout. So now when we go to our either Gimp or Photoshop, we can open that. I'm just starting from scratch here, so we can go to Photoshop, and then now we should have a small lantern. There it is. No, it's Smelter. Where did I save it? Oh geez, I don't remember where I saved it. I'm gonna go back and look. Oops. Oh yeah, it's in the main folder. I just didn't see it. There it is, small lantern test. So there it is. Okay, so now there's our layout that we did. So now I can create a new layer and put it underneath it, and when I work on that layer, I can decide what color, you know, I want. Like, I know this is the lantern face, so we'll make that yellow. Which is, I'm just gonna do it real quick. So we're gonna make that yellow, and then we know we want the lantern itself, which is this part here, or this is the under part of the lantern. We'll just give it like a darker color, like that. So we'll color that in, and then over here, we know that this is the top part, and we'll make it just a little bit lighter. So we'll do a little bit lighter texture there. We'll color that in. And then these are the little angled parts on the top. So again, we'll color that in the same color as that, so it matches. So now that, basically, we just did a real quick texturing coloring there. But you can go to like you know, a free game like Open Game Textures or something. I'm sorry, it's Open Game Art. Here, I'll bring it up. You can go to Open Game Art or something and just like search for a metal texture. Find something that like, and you can actually tell it you just want texture. So we can go through all these. You can get rid of all these. So search for a metal texture. Like, here's a cool like rusted one here. Look. So you can download the zips. I'm just gonna, just for this purposes, I'm just gonna copy this for now, and then I'm not gonna download the high-end one. So like, you could actually take that metal texture. Whoops, that didn't work. Let me just save the image, textures, and then I'll just open it in Photoshop. Sometimes copy and pasting from the internet just doesn't work anymore like it used to. So we'll go to textures, and then that rust texture should be in there. There it is. There's that rusty one I just grabbed. So you can just copy that texture. And then paste it in. So we'll bring my layout open again. So I'm grabbing this rusted texture here, and then I'll just size it so it fits underneath where I know that top part is, and I know where this part is, where these, I'm just going to stretch it, sorry. There. So I know that that's where the top of the lantern is, and I know that these are the side angle parts on the lantern, which is this part here. And I know I'm dealing with this part here, and then the bottom. So I messed up my layout, didn't I? Oh, there it is. Now I fixed it. Okay. So now that, whoops, sorry. So now that we have we kind of threw in these where we know where it's going, and that's the lantern part, and I'll leave that as it is. We can save this as the texture. I like to put another layer underneath all that, and then I'll color it black. So there. So that's its own layer in the back. So we can transparent it too if it's a transparent thing, but that's another video. So now we'll save this. Make sure we go down to 512 just to save space. Apply. So we'll save that. And it'll be a small lantern test, and I'm just going to call it final. So now we'll go back to Blender, and then in here we're going to open it, and it's under textures, and it's small lantern test, which is right there. So now see, now it imported it in here. So now Blender knows that the UV coordinates are going to match with my UV layout that I exported, and then I painted underneath it. So now we need to tell Blender that that's an actual material. So just add the material. And then on your nodes here, just write it. Make sure you deselect, because it selects these automatically. So just deselect somewhere there and hit add a texture, and then you're going to add an image texture. So add that image texture in there, and then color. Make sure you get your color to base color, and then just use, since you've already brought it in, you just have to click this little thing here, the little down arrow. You don't have to hit new or open. You can just it'll just be there. So there's lantern UV layout test, which is right there. So now that's going to add it to my material. There. Whoops, that's not the right one. It was called Small Lantern Test Final. My bad. There. So there's Small Lantern Test Final, which is the name of the texture that I imported. So there, here I came down at small lantern test final. So now my layout, my UVs are all perfect. As you can see, there's the rusty texture on the bottom, which what we specified, and then the rusty texture on the top. And I'll bring the roughness up a little bit so it's not so shiny. There you go. You can kind of see it better. So that's basically how you use the edge, mark the seams, export the UV layout, go into Photoshop or Gimp, and set the layer. Now Gimp has a little weird thing that I did a test with it earlier just to make sure that I wasn't lying to you. So pasting in the Gimp is not like Photoshop. Let me show you how to do that real quick before I end the video. So once you have Gimp, let's say I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go back there. Gimp's gonna let me open up my. See, I don't know why it doesn't know how to recognize Google Drive. So with Gimp, when you open up that UV, this here, and you open up the other file. So there's like the lantern. There's the lantern file. I mean, there's the texture that I don't know I'm gonna have underneath it. I like Gimp because you can switch between your files up here. It's kind of cool. But here, like, let's say if I copy this, I copy what's in that layer, and I come here to paste it in. You have to hit right here down the bottom. It says create a new layer, or hit Shift and create a new layer. You have to hold Shift and then click this, so it puts it in its own layer. That's the only quirky thing that Gimp does, because if you don't, it adds it. So if I just hit paste and then I hit that green button there to add it, it adds it to the main. Like, I notice it adds it to the main picture even if I hide that. Well, it did earlier. Now it's not doing it for me. Like when I hit paste and then I hit enter and I press enter. Oh, now it's not doing it. I don't know why. Well, earlier it was like not. Anyway, but it's kind of the same thing with Gimp. So I don't know why it's not doing it now. It was doing it earlier. It wouldn't paste it in. It was putting it on the main picture. But anyway, now with Gimp, it's kind of the same thing. You can like turn the opacity down on that, and then you can go back to this layer or make a new layer. Maybe somebody knows why I was doing that, but I'm gonna make a new layer here. So between the transparent my transparent outline of where I know my texture is gonna be, I'll create a new layer that I can come in, and then you can actually start painting in here. I think it's on black. Let me just go to like green or something. So now you can come in and start editing your. Oops. Let's see why it keeps doing that. Oh, okay. So working in this layer. Why is it doing that? I'm not good at Gimp. Sorry. How do I get it? I hate Gimp. Sorry. This is why I don't use it. Okay, it's painting, but it's not. This is so stupid. Yeah, okay, so now I'm painting inside that layer. Like, to make edits to that picture, I'm making edits, but it's like on its own layer. So like if maybe you were just trying to come in here and touch up that lantern lighting or something, and you wanted to add like a different hue, maybe like you wanted to come in and like touch up I'm just doing a dirty job, but if you wanted to come in and touch up like around that or something, then you can where's I want to be able to not free select. These tools are not like Photoshop. Yeah, so you can come in and mask that off and then delete, like delete what you didn't mean to put. So let me remask that. You kind of get the idea of what we're doing there. So Gimp works a little bit differently. It's not like Photoshop, but if you're used to using it, you're probably better than me, because I've been using Photoshop my whole life, since like 1996. So if you're better at Gimp, you probably know more than I do. But that's pretty much the part I wanted to show as far as this part, like how to get it unwrapping. You're free to use whatever. You can use Microsoft Paint for all I care. But the idea of this video was just kind of show how to do the seams, and like how to unwrap it, and then how to make the texture, how to export the UV layout. So thanks for watching. I hope this helps.